Yes, it's John G. Sutton, Tales from the Jails. I'm going to talk today a little bit about assaults on staff, and violence in prisons, but specifically about one particular prison that's seen a dramatic drop in the level of assaults, and that prison is HM Prison, Haverigg, which you may not know, but it's in the county of Cumbria, close to the town of Millom. And Haverigg is a little village in its own right. And the prison there it's been reclassified as Category D. It's effectively an open prison for inmates who have committed sexual assaults. And anybody who's seen Haverigg prison, it's right on the coastline there, just on the coast, right near to the sea, and it was experiencing over one serious assault a week. The average, I think it was 700 assaults in 10 years. So they're averaging about 70 serious physical encounters a year, over one a week. But that has now reduced to 6 in a year. So Haverigg is doing something right. Obviously, I mean, you look at it from a somewhat jaundiced perspective, a bit cynical about this, which I am a little bit. It's to do with the lockdown and the pandemic. What they were doing at Haverigg was allowing the inmates freedom within their particular cell block. So they weren't keeping them banged in the cells. They were allowing them out, but restricted to the cell block. So each cell block, A, B, C, D, whatever it is, yeah, they were allowed out, but only within their units. Yeah. One problem that was raised by the recent inspection on HMP Haverigg was that there was no preparation for people who were going to be rehabilitated into the community. There was very little of that during the pandemic, and now we're out of that. It's to be hoped that something like that takes place. See, assaults on staff and on other inmates, whilst absolutely to be deplored and reduced as strictly as they can, the right way to do it is not to keep people banged up in the cells, which is what they have been doing, but to illustrate to those perpetrating these offences that such crimes will not go unpunished. But what are you going to do? Somebody's doing life, and they decide to get in a fight. What are you going to do? You give them, you can have another life, yeah. So you got some more life, yeah. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. Anyway, tell a little story about Haverigg. Go back to 1979, 1980, when I was active in the trade union movement in the prison system. I stated quite openly that the Prison Officers Association was in fact management. It was run by chief officers and principal officers as a general rule. The National Executive Committee was run by chief officers or ex-chief officers, and basically it was a tool of management used not to represent the prison officers, but to represent the management and to control the basic grade workers. Big problem I had was telling prison officers that they were workers. That's what they were. And the prison itself was the shop floor. That's where we were. the management, that's the chief officers, the principal officers, and to a certain extent the senior officers, they were like the supervisors and senior managers who made the whole system function and gave the workers their duties and negotiated with the workers, should negotiate with the workers on hours and conditions. But because they were in the same union as the workers, the prison officers, the basic prison officers, there was no negotiation. They agreed to run the place, and the prison officers agreed that they could do it because that was the trade union. So I was touring the country giving lectures on why this was a completely unworkable system that effectively meant that there was no representation for junior grade prison officers and otherwise non-supervisory grade prison officers, as long as the POA were representing them, because they couldn't represent them, and I believe they probably still can't. I mean, if you look at the rate of pay for prison officers today, a car parking attendant's getting more money. Seriously. And do you know this? The rate of pay for a basic grade prison officer is based on the rate of pay for a cleaner in the House of Commons at Westminster. Seriously, same rate of pay. Yeah, one of us walks the landings day and night, weekends, bank holidays, Christmas, locking dangerous inmates up, and the other one mops the floor in the tea room. Seriously. Anyway, that's a little bit about assaults in prisons, specifically HMP Haverigg. I believe that assaults in prisons across the country have seriously come down, but that is only due to the fact that all the prisons have been locked down. They haven't been out walking around. And attacks on staff can be very serious, as I've previously mentioned in these broadcasts. One of my colleagues was slashed from ear to right under his chin. Big flap came out with a razor, a shiv, a homemade shiv. Guy jumped out of the cell. No reason. The prison officer hadn't done anything to him. Wouldn't done anything. It was just an act of insanity. But that's what you'll get when you get people who are high on drugs and coming down off all sorts of addictions. And my experience as a hospital officer was that if they're coming down off an addiction, they come into the prison, you see them, you say, anybody got addictions, have you got diabetes, you've got any other certifiable illnesses, you got weak heart, you come and see me now. Yeah, and then you'd see them and you'd say, right, report sick in the morning, report sick in the morning. Yeah, but the people who were saying that they were addicted to heroin, cocaine, alcohol, didn't matter. No, straight in the cells, cold turkey, that was the rule. Of course, put somebody who's coming down from that in a cell with two other people that he doesn't know, anything can happen, and it did. Assaults left, right and centre, and I believe that now there's a problem with a drug called spice. I've never seen it, that didn't exist when I was there. Yeah. Another disgraceful thing is that would cause me to be very distressed if I was in prison, was the fact that they banned books being sent in. The Justice Secretary has banned books, so you can't order a book off Amazon and get it sent into the prison. They don't allow it now. I believe they don't allow it now. Why? This is madness. Surely it would be right to promote, the literacy. Anyway, talking about literacy, it's that time of day when I'm going to give you a little poem now. That's the song dinger, by the way, but I'm going to read you a poem instead. Are you sitting comfortably? I'll begin. Yeah, this is a poem called Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. It's about, I'll tell you what it's about before we start so you get the feel of the poem, you see. It's about when he passes from this world to the next. Yeah, it's about the transition. Here's Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me, and may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea, but such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. But though from hour born of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. That's today's Tales from the Jails. I sincerely hope you've watched it, you like, yeah, subscribe, all the rest of it. Yeah, we'll speak again.